and welcome to Bend the Knee, a Song of Ice and Fire podcast. I am Sir Matt, the Bud Knight.
And I am Sir Ezra the Watchful. Welcome to our Song of Ice and Fire book club. It is time for Raven's Nest, friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been wanting to do this for a while, kind of the revamped a follow-up Friday, if you will. I think this is going to be a much more fun way to do it, where we can have people on, people chatting with us, interacting as we do it live, and kind of turn a Black Council little room where Sir Ezra and I are running it and open it up and to a great feast hall and have everyone kind of hanging out and chilling out. So. Super cool. So that's kind of how we wanted to do this. So I believe so we have Sir David the Huntsman, we have Sir Lord James Hunter the Foulmouth, Lord Jason the Highlander, Lord Adam the Parker, Sam the Hammer is are going to be joining with us. We have some other people that are online. I'm probably going to jump in and out as well. And the way Sir Ezra and I are going to do this is we're going to kind of go round robin, kind of pick some people for those of the Patreon members who are in here with us that can kind of chat and kind of influence the show as we're going here as well in like a text chat. And then we'll be hearing from all these people from time to time again as we go through a large list of ravens. We've been collecting a bunch. A lot to talk about, and I believe they all have access, Sir Ezra, to the doc that we use, so they can kind of preview and see what we're going to be talking about as well. So,
and as we're in the doc, I mean, I'll highlight different things as just to where we're at and stuff. So pay attention in there, and we should be good to go. You're going to hear different voices coming, on and off the podcast, which I think is freaking awesome.
So. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to open it up to people and stuff like that. So, this is also just real quick. This is the first time we're doing it. So if there's technical hiccups, that's okay. We'll get it ironed out over the next coming weeks and stuff as we go along. But so far, just in our little test run we've been doing here, I think it's been working pretty well. So, so it's gonna. I think I'm excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Can't wait. So real quick, just some small counts are going on here. We always start with that just to kind of see how things are going, because I haven't heard from Sir Matt this weekend.
Yeah, this week's been kind of busy for me, man. Let's see. I finally got a new job. Let's see. What was I doing before? I guess I was working at a motorcycle store, so I guess I was kind of like a stable master. Now I'm going to be working at this kind of freight forwarding company. So like a carriage master, working or making sure, shipments get delivered on boats,
right?
Going from, we got to get the supplies to Eastwatch.
So you're like
sea and great,
you're like a dock master.
Pretty much. Yeah. So, so doing that. So,
nice.
That's going to be, super, super cool here. So, Sir, how you doing?
Dude, I've been doing all right, man. Excited for this. Like this new year, man, like 2019, I've just been jacked, super pumped about stuff. So glad we got this going. Been busy, but like it's a good, kind of busy. Diet has been going well, and I've been working out
good
at least 3 times a week since Christmas. So like I'm feeling 10 times better.
Hey, I'm down a couple of pounds this year, so I feel pretty good about that. Much like Rhaegar decided it's time to get out of the books and pick up the sword. I said it's time for me to put down the fork. Okay,
right.
and trade it in for a sword. So down a couple pounds, feeling pretty good about that.
That's awesome. Nice.
So
all
right. Well, I guess we should go ahead and talk a little bit about the news. I guess there was like a 2-second trailer or something like that last week that everyone was talking about online. Did you catch it, Sir Ezra? Or
yeah,
was it?
I don't know.
I don't know. It didn't even seem like that big of a deal to me. Or
dude, I don't know. I feel like it's really solved every mystery that there's ever been.
Right. Yeah. So
in a Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Exactly. So if you remember, it was around like August or something. We there was like a promotional HBO trailer, and it was just showing a bunch of their shows, and it showed Game of Thrones, and it showed a bunch of footage that we had seen before, but there was literally one frame clip of Sansa hugging Jon that everyone online was like, this is new. This is from season 8. but it didn't really tell us anything that we didn't know. We know Jon is heading back to Winterfell, but it looks like we got some follow-up footage with that at the Golden Globes. They showed another kind of teaser trailer, again, a promotional HBO trailer, and shows coming out this year. And for the rest of the shows, I don't know if it's new footage because I don't watch shows like Veep or what's the other big one everyone watches? Westworld. I don't even know if it was on there, but just as an example. But then we got some new footage, and if you break it down, so there's like three. It's like it's like 5 seconds, and so you get a dragon flying with some Dothraki, and I don't know if that's new or not. I imagine it is. And then we get kind of just the Game of Thrones logo. Oh, great! Somebody posted it. Oh yeah. There
it is.
Exactly. And so, Lord Adam Parker saying he's certain the Jon and Dany Sansa clip is the first 10 minutes of the show. Absolutely. And so then then if you notice, actually, the game when you look, we got a segment of Winterfell in the kind of, I'm assuming is the season 8 opening clip, right? And how in the season, if you look at it, you can actually see that it's not just Winterfell. There's kind of like tents and stuff around it. So perhaps, gearing up for battle. And then we get the big clip from it where or we see Sansa, and she's standing there with kind of a smug look on her face, or not a happy look. And she says, "Winterfell is yours, your grace," as she's looking at Daenerys and Jon.
Yeah.
And so, so when I think there's two ways to take this. One, is she saying Winterfell is yours? And Dany's kind of smiling. Is she saying Winterfell is yours, your grace, to Dany, as in she's already assuming Daenerys is the queen, or is she saying Winterfell is yours, your grace, and then maybe what we don't see is she kind of turns and looks at Jon, as in Jon Snow, King of the North, or Jon Snow, King of the entire freaking 7 kingdoms. Yeah, you know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So like the way I interpreted it was absolutely. Yeah. It is. Winterfell is Jon Snow's King in the North, or protector of the realm, King of the Rhoynar, first of his name, whatever. So
right.
So there's two kind of ways to interpret it, but either way, it got a huge buzz going on the internet. You and I definitely noticed that.
Right.
I said, man, there seems to be a lot of new people this week coming into the Facebook group and all of this stuff.
Oh
so
my gosh.
It was insane. I was like, wow, did we do something crazy, or just
it was a 1 second, 10-second clip, and like all of a sudden people were searching, Game of Thrones news like crazy. So
and there was somebody HBO or something tweeted. Did you see the tweet where they said they talked about when we're going to be able to see the announce date for season 8? I think it's coming soon. It's going to be during some other like big show or something. They're going to show a trailer or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that should be coming too. So thoughts, Sir Ezra, on the Winterfell is yours, your grace.
Well, I mean, I'm with you in that, like, she says that to Dany, and then when she's done, she looks at Jon. I think to imply.
Yeah, true detective tonight. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lord Jason, for that. Yeah. So, True Detective tonight. So it's going to get announced. So get ready. So.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, I think that it's kind of Winterfell is yours, your grace. She looks at Sansa, or she looks at Dany, and they showed us that to get us everybody buzzed. But then the show is going to go in a slightly different direction, because I think Sansa's character is not happy at all about Daenerys.
No, and I wonder how the lords are going to take it as well. Him coming back, having bent the knee. I don't know.
If you look in the picture, you can see Brienne of Tarth behind Sansa, and then from the other angle, you can see Jorah Mormont standing back there, looking like he's still Captain Friendzone. So
right,
so
that's awesome.
So super interesting. So all right, even with this trailer, I kind of want to hear some other people's thoughts. So I hope everybody is here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with Lord Adam Parker here. So Lord Adam Parker, I'm gonna turn you on to the audio here. So I hope you're ready. So boom. So Lord Adam Parker, your thoughts on the clip.
Crazy clip. I mean, I've seen the clip 5 to 10 times. a day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny. I did not think that Sansa was, looking at Jon when she said, "Your Grace."
Yeah.
I assumed it was just Dany, and she's kind of falling in that role of little sister to Jon. Rob wanted Jon to be king. I think the whole show and the whole community wanted Jon to be king. So that's what we're kind of thinking. That's what we're brought up to think.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sansa's just falling in line with the normal way of thinking and saying, okay, if Jon believes in you, we all believe in you. Everyone believes in Jon. The wildlings, the North, everyone just followed whatever he said. And if he trusts Dany so much to bend the knee to her, because he's very, he spent too much time with the wildlings, he doesn't know how to kneel anymore. But if he can do that, then Sansa just follows in line and says, I trust you to Your Grace. Or Your Grace is just a formal thing that they say. It's a term of you're equal to me. I'm Queen of Winterfell. I'm the lady here, and you're the lady of, King's Landing, where you belong. They end the series as the whole pack survives.
Yeah.
So maybe that leans towards of the Winterfell, the North becomes its own kingdom, and this, the 7 kingdoms become the 6 kingdoms with the North. So maybe she's like, okay, we're equals, Your Grace. This is just polite. So I thought of it those two ways, and it's very interesting to hear you say, that she's snarky. She's being like, oh, Your Grace, like Jon, no, because he's the king of all of us. And, obviously Jon's look of, he doesn't have any facial expressions. That's the way he would look, and Daenerys raises her eyebrows in the very last second. So there's definitely, she took it a certain way, but you don't know how she's going to take it until we see it. So either this is the very first 30 seconds of the entire series kicking off.
Right.
Or maybe it's the last scene in the entire show.
Wow.
And Jon Snow is the king of everything and everyone survived.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, yeah, I think I'm with you is the question is this the opening scene, which I think is where I'm leaning, but is Bran, as we know, knows the truth. So has Bran had a conversation with Sansa before this clip, or does that happen? I'm assuming it happens after this clip.
Bran and Sam are the only two that know.
Right.
But they were all in Winterfell.
Exactly.
And Jon and Daenerys are on the boat ride back to Winterfell, right?
Yeah.
From Eastwatch to Winterfell.
The love. They're on the love boat. Yeah.
They're on the Love Boat Express, and so they're heading to Winterfell directly. So we know they're going to go there. Who in Winterfell knows? Is Bran no longer a Stark? Is he? The pack survives. That's obviously Arya and Sansa are one now on the same team. Is Bran no longer a Stark anymore? So he's not part of the pack. So maybe he and Sam are a little separate. Did not tell Sansa, but if we think that Bran is still a Stark and Arya and Sansa are so close knit, then obviously they would know immediately, because obviously they're super open with each other behind the scenes.
Right, for sure.
As we've seen from the last episode.
Yeah.
In season 7. So it can go either two ways in this, and I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Awesome. Cool. All right, I want to get one other person. I think we'll do the for this, then we'll move on to something else. Let's go with, I'm just going to go in random here. So Sam the Hammer, I hope you are ready to go, because I want to get your thoughts on this. So Sam, you're on if you're ready. Maybe.
Can you hear Sam?
Oh, nope. I don't know. Can't hear Sam. Maybe he's.
So Matt, you picked the wrong person.
I did. He's maybe having some technical audio issues.
We'll come back to it
with his mic. Sometimes that happens. That's okay. Discord can be kind of weird. So all right, I'm gonna go with Lord James Hunter, the foul mouth here. So here we go. All right,
hey.
you're on.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I definitely took it that way, that she came up kind of snarky, like condescending, the way she said it.
Mm-hmm.
Like mad. She's mad that she's there, annoyed. Definitely. She was sporting some tude, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So
That
do,
is
do you
awesome.
do you think that this clip takes place before or after Bran has a conversation with Sansa about Jon Snow's true parentage?
I feel like it's before. I feel like it's like the first. They just roll in and she comes out, and it's
Right.
before,
Mm.
like right when they get to Winterfell, and before she finds out about John's real identity.
Yeah. So you're also in the camp of probably in the first like 10 minutes of season 8.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Cool.
Although the last scene is interesting too, though, having it being the last scene, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening that way.
Yeah. So cool. All right. All right, Sir Ezra. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and move on over to our first
Raven.
First Raven here. And who is this one from?
This is from Adam Parker.
Lord Adam
So
Parker. All right.
Yeah.
So okay. All right. So Ned's thoughts about Rhaegar Targaryen here. So
Yeah. You want me to go ahead and read it first, and then
yeah. You can go ahead and read it, and then we'll
okay, and then we'll have him jump on here.
Mm-hmm,
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got and this was kind of a short. Actually, I think one of the titles like short Raven. Just wanted to get right to the point here. Ned's thoughts about Rhaegar. In Ned's inner monologue, he doesn't often think about Rhaegar, but in the times when he does think about Rhaegar, it's never that son of a bitch kidnapped and raped my sister.
Mm-hmm.
Ned always thinks of him in a sympathetic kind of light with thoughts of sadness. That doesn't connect with the way Ned should think about Rhaegar if Ned thought his sister was brutalized by this guy. Why would Ned think this way if he didn't know there was a love connection with Rhaegar and Lyanna? I think Ned and maybe Benjen knew about them the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and then he's got some thoughts here too. So we'll have him.
Yeah. So all right, cool.
Here.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have him jump back in here. So Lord Adam Parker, you're back on.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Lord Parker here. So thoughts on this is exactly as you guys said. And, as far as we know, there are two women in Rhaegar's life,
Mm-hmm.
Elia Martell and Lyanna Stark. And like Aegon, his role model, Rhaegar married twice, for duty and for love.
Mm-hmm.
His first wife was Elia, chosen for him by his father. And his second wife was Lyanna, whom he fell in love with during the Harrenhal tourney.
Mm-hmm.
And someone along the way spread the rumor that Rhaegar kidnapped and raped Lyanna.
Right.
Something which is something a lustful man would be capable of.
Right.
But that's not the way that Ned Stark remembers him.
Yeah.
We see from the text of when Ned is in the brothel looking for Robert's children, and he actually, before that, Ned says about Robert's rage is uncomfortably he found himself recalling Rhaegar Targaryen 15 years dead. Yet Robert hates him as much as ever. This is chapter 13.
Mm-hmm.
And Ned brings up this fact that Robert has this terrible temper and is upset with Ned for some reason. And he says, you know what? He's upset with me, but he's not as upset with me as he is of Rhaegar. Brings that up a few times. So in chapter 35, when Eddard visits the brothel, visiting Robert's bastard, the little girl, the quote is, "But Ned kept his vows. He thought of the promises he'd made Lyanna as she lay dying and the price he paid to keep them."
Yeah.
Later in that page, Ned saw Jon Snow's face when he's looking at the face of the bastard in front of him, as he's holding the baby, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Ned saw Jon Snow's face in front of him, so like a younger version of his own. If the gods frowned so on bastards, he thought dully, why did they fill men with such lust? This is kind of it might be Ned's child. Or thinking of if Jon was truly a bastard, if Rhaegar had raped Lyanna, then would that make Jon a bastard? Yes, it would, because it's an unlawful pregnancy. So, if the gods frowned on bastards, why did they fill men with such lust? And then he goes on to say, for the first time in years, this is a few pages later, first time in years, he found himself remembering Rhaegar Targaryen. He wondered if Rhaegar had frequented brothels. Somehow, he thought not. So, if love filled men with such lust that they fathered bastards, but Rhaegar never visited a brothel, well, he's piecing those two together, and he's saying, Rhaegar's not like
Right.
Rhaegar doesn't have the lust. He's only actually loved those two women. He loved Lyanna so much. He fell in love with her during the Harrenhal tourney. And, he often compared Robert to Rhaegar, which he found more respect for Rhaegar than he did Robert. As I mentioned earlier, Robert was his close friend. Yet Robert's so angry, and he holds Rhaegar with such respect. And actually, in the first book, the only times Rhaegar comes up in chapters is either Ned's chapters or Dany's chapters, and then one time in a Bran chapter.
Yeah. When
it's the history of Robert. So Ned is the only person thinking about Rhaegar in the entire first book.
Yep.
Except for Dany being like, "Oh, my brother did this. He was actually the truly last dragon. My brother this, my brother that." But Ned is the only person in all of Westeros who's thinking and remembering Rhaegar.
Yeah.
Why would he do that when his best friend Robert's there and he holds Rhaegar to so much respect? And you wouldn't hold that respect to somebody who's like, "Oh, you son of a bitch. Like, you kidnapped my sister and raped her so many times." Like, you as the brother of this girl, family is bigger than friends. Blood is thicker than water, they say, right? Ned should be more angry with Rhaegar than Robert is angry with Rhaegar.
Right? Yeah.
That's Robert's angry with Robert's angry with Rhaegar because he kidnapped his betrothal, but he sleeps with so many women. He doesn't care about his betrothal, and Ned does not have this contempt for Rhaegar, who kidnapped his own sister. Like, if that happened to me, I would have smashed Rhaegar's plate in, and been upset with him for 15 years.
Right.
And Ned always talks about Robert's hatred for Rhaegar, but never his own hatred for him. So, like I said, if Rhaegar did indeed kidnap and rape Lyanna, Ned would be so furious with him. But what if Ned knew that Lyanna loved Rhaegar back? Lyanna brings up in a few chapters previous that she was not happy about the betrothal because Robert can't stick to one bed.
Right.
And so she does not want to be married to Robert. She doesn't want to be into this relationship because she's scared that he doesn't love her back, which he probably wouldn't have, and so she what if she just loved Rhaegar and Ned knew that? And we know that, Lyanna didn't want to marry Robert because of the bastard that she already knew about. And I think that Ned knew that Rhaegar and Lyanna loved each other equally. I think Benjen knew the same thing. They were so close with them. They were that was the wolf pack that survived. Because all three of the siblings were just intimately close with each other. I think they knew everybody's secrets, and it's very clear reading this that Ned had respect for Rhaegar because he knew that he actually cared for his sister.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's interesting. Can I ask a question real quick, Sir Matt?
Yeah.
Lord Adam Parker, so that rumor is out there, right? That he kidnapped, raped, and murdered. Like, was that just a rumor? Do you think somebody started that, or somebody was trying to? Maybe they didn't know how to explain it to Robert Baratheon.
Well, I think you'd have to look at the perception of the realm and how they would perceive it.
Lyanna's missing.
Right.
Yeah. Why? I mean, that's why Brandon went down to King's Landing, wasn't it, to demand the release of his sister.
And it's also it's to the victor goes the spoils, right? Robert's the one who wins, so it's
if you win, you write
Robert gets to paint the picture of the Targaryens as evil people. So
it is known. You do that.
Yeah, I mean, like Joffrey. People believe that Joffrey won the Battle of the Blackwater. So
Right.
like I mean, he had nothing to nothing to do with it. So
No, rumors spread, and as they just knew Lyanna was gone from the castle. Oh, she's betrothed to Robert. They knew that. How did actually? You know what? This is something I didn't think of. How did they know that Rhaegar took her? She's gone. Did someone see her? Did someone?
Exactly. Yeah, that's good too. Yeah. Maybe they just believe it because of the tourney at Harrenhal.
Right.
But I'm going to pull from the show here. Is when we see Bran and the events of the Tower at Joy, this could totally be showism, but when Ned rides up to the Tower of Joy in the show, he doesn't look like. I mean, he looks upset. He doesn't look like. It's not like, okay, I'm here to pick, Lyanna up from a date.
Where's my sister?
Like, yeah. He seems kind of upset, and maybe that's just the way they do it in the show. So maybe in the show, it's Ned finds out when he goes up to the Tower of Joy. This is all what happened, which could change his perception of it down the line.
Who knew she was in the Tower of Joy?
Yeah, we don't know that. And
what
we
if
don't know.
Ned
We don't
knew she was there.
Yeah, see, in the books, I think that could be the case, is he knows beforehand. Whereas in the show, it seems like when he shows up, he doesn't know what's going on. And so, yeah, to your point, but and maybe that ties into the Arthur Dayne theory, where Arthur Dayne didn't want to kill Ned, but he was going to have to kill everyone else around him so that Ned could keep the secret.
Right, but also Ned knew that Rhaegar was slain.
Yeah,
so he ran to double check that was Lyanna killed also.
Yeah, yep.
Everyone Targaryen related in the presence. I mean, I guess people knew what Lyanna looked like, hopefully.
Right.
But she's missing. Her husband just got killed.
Mm-hmm.
Ned, who's a concerned brother, knows of their love, runs up and says, "Where's my sister?" Concerned that she's safe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not of, did you take her? But it's more, is my sister safe? Mm-hmm. And Arthur Dayne is, obviously it's a misinterpretation, or Bran only saw what he saw, and he might not have caught all of the words. Yeah. Maybe Arthur Dayne was, she's up there. We hear that she screams, Ned, she knows that he's coming. Mm-hmm. And he's just anxious. Like, think about if your sister was in a modern day hospital giving birth, and you knew she was, distressed. You would run in and you'd say, "Well, where's my sister? Which room is she in?" Mm-hmm. Obviously it's much different than that, but that's kind of, even in modern day, we would still have a very similar reaction of just being, "This is my sister. I'm super close with her. Where is she? Is she safe?"
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't know she was pregnant. Maybe he did know she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Who knows which one of those? And maybe that part doesn't even matter at all.
Yeah. I love this. Look, I'm going to take it just a step further, because I like the idea that Benjen and Ned know something about it. And, Ned talks about secrets that he's had to keep. Because, the big one is, like, his father and brother go down to King's Landing to demand her back. And if Benjen and Ned, or even just Eddard, knows this secret, it's like, why wouldn't he tell his father or his brother, about this, to sort of spare them from, or was it all facade? Is that something that does he know that they love each other, and so he's gonna kind of lie for his sister, or kind of he's in a tight spot, right? If he knows that she truly loves Rhaegar, and they kind of slipped away. I mean, a whole war is breaking out over this. It really put him in a pickle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Ned and Robert were in the Vale. They were not at Winterfell. Mm-hmm. So think about it. A father is blind. We, in the show, they get to this really well, where Tywin doesn't realize that Cersei and Jaime are lovers, and that Joffrey is their child. He turned a blind eye to it. He was like, "Oh, those are just false rumors. This can't happen. That's my family."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with their father, who's up at Winterfell. Ned and Benjen are at the Vale with, where's Lyanna? She's probably at the Vale too. They were super close.
Mhm.
So maybe the father and the older brother were so far removed. Maybe Rhaegar
maybe they didn't know. Yeah.
maybe Rhaegar visited the Vale, a few times between the tourney and the quote unquote kidnapping, and that's how Ned and Benjen knew, and they were like, "Oh, we see Rhaegar all the time here. Like they're flirting together. They're with each other. Basically, the father and the older brother who's training to be the next ward or lord of Winterfell. They're up in the north together.
Yeah.
Lyanna's gone. Someone from the Vale mentions and says, Lyanna is not at the Vale anymore. She rode off with Rhaegar. That gets interpreted to, oh, Rhaegar took Lyanna. The people in Winterfell who have no idea what's going on are like, oh my goodness, Rhaegar just took Lyanna. Let's march down to King's Landing. Let's demand her back because we know Rhaegar kidnapped Lyanna because he took her.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it, because they could be far removed. The other piece too that would make it more complex for Eddard would be like, what does he tell? Like, let's say he knows, right? Tourney of Harrenhal happens. She's presented the crown. She's the Queen of Love and Beauty. And like maybe it's a reoccurring theme. Maybe Lyanna's like constantly, promise me, Ned. He's got like so many promises he has to keep, because at what point does he tell his friend, the truth, or would he ever tell his friend the truth? Maybe she put him in a really big pickle, kind of like you're saying, to where he's not able to express, because Robert just, goes off and starts a war. So, but again, part of that though, so part of the war, right, is because, Eddard's father and brother are killed, and then the Mad King's like wanting their heads, right? I mean, he's
right. Robert starts a war because he had a bounty on his.
Yeah.
And
so
that's the reason for that. Obviously, the king doesn't know any than anyone else knows. He knows the amount of everyone in the whole situation. All he knows is that he just killed 2 people from the north, and like he was like, oh no, somebody started a war.
Right.
It was him, and he like doesn't know that he started the war himself. He's like, oh no, who started this war? Like, people hate me.
Well, I mean, seriously, I mean, the Mad King,
mad.
Like, when they say he's mad, man, I mean, that was kind of like, because like the North is such a big deal, and I don't know, it just seems like,
and the North is so far away.
Right. Yeah.
So there's this huge telephone game. It's the whole separate world from King's Landing. Nobody has no idea what is going on with each other. Winterfell doesn't know what's happening in King's Landing. King's Landing doesn't know what's happening in Winterfell. The North, all they know is that their 2 lords just died.
Yeah.
They were probably like, oh, fuck you. And then the king was like, oh, you said war? I need to start a war. Bring me, who's next in line? Eddard? I've never heard of that. Who's Robert? Okay, John Aaron.
Yeah, those guys are dead. Yeah, killed.
You're my wards. They're dead. They're from the north. They want me. I just killed their father and their older brother. Like, that's how the war got started.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, another one more quick thing, and then we'll kind of switch gears here. I like the idea that I like thinking about this. I like thinking that Eddard or Benjen knew, because a lot of people have those. Sir Matt, we've talked a long time about Rhaegar.
Yeah.
Theories. Did he live on? Was he harbored at Winterfell? Did he go beyond the wall? So
is he Syrio Farrell?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. It's just kind of cool to think that Eddard would know, and maybe there's this bigger plot that he's, because he never outright, he doesn't think like he doesn't absolutely like hate him. I mean, I think at one point, he he thinks on him fondly, as Lord Adam Parker says. It's most of the time, and there's a couple of times where he's kind of it's either Robert speaking to him. It's in some of the Eddard chapters where that's mostly Robert just hating him, right, and wanting to kill him over and over and over every night in his dreams. But Eddard doesn't say, he's not that. You don't see that same type of language or that same type of temper from Eddard, and you think you would. So it's interesting.
Yeah. So, all right.
He talks. Go ahead. One very last thing is that he does talk about Lyanna's promise and how much it cost him. And he said, "I will never. I will I'll never, go back on this promise, and how much did that, really hurt from me. And then, quick side note, he called Howland Reed the little Krennic then. So maybe Howland Reed, maybe he was actually him, the Knight of Flower, or the Knight of the Laughing Tree, who was a little person. We always thought it was a girl. Ned called him little. He's a small boy.
Right.
And anyway, that's all I got on that.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Good thoughts as always, man. Well, cool. What we'll do is we'll hop into. We might see if anybody else has more thoughts on this too, and then we'll move on to kind of the next Raven and see what we got here. So
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Sir David the Huntsman here and hear quick thoughts on it. So Sir David, you are up. Maybe not. Oh, Sir David the Huntsman.
Sir David, come on.
Oh,
is he letting us down?
Nope, Sir David doesn't have audio ready, so let's go with Lord James. Let's go
Jason.
Lord Jason. Yeah, Lord Jason. Yeah. Lord Jason, you're on.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. So I agree that Ned definitely thinks fondly of Rhaegar.
Mm-hmm.
But yet he can definitely hold a grudge. If you mention Lannister in his presence, he gets angry. I mean, when he's talking about sending little Robin to Foster at Casterly Rock, he said he would rather trust him to a pit of vipers.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that Ned, if Rhaegar had taken Lyanna, if there was something terrible going on there, he wouldn't have the thoughts that he does. So I definitely agree with Lord Adam Parker on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right, though. I mean, the whole Lannister bit, I mean, he's always super anytime they come up, it irritates him. And so it's like, why doesn't he have that same irritation towards Rhaegar? It's just a little, and maybe we just don't hear enough of his thoughts, but that's intentional by Gur, right? To write it in a way that he's fond of, air quote, fond of Rhaegar and torn about this promise that he has to keep. So yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and let's move on to our next big topic here, which is the leading candidate for Azor Ahai. Now, Sir Ezra, you have an insane amount written here. Is this somebody's specific Raven, or and then this information is just information that you have dug up? So I don't want to cut somebody's Raven off, or
no, just read what's in the in the purple color there. Yeah,
cool.
And that'll be solid.
Okay, cool. Right here, my leading candidate for who sent this? Is this Sir David the Blacksmith of House Fire Sword? Okay. My leading candidate for Azor Ahai is Rhaegar, although a close second would be Dany. In large part, it's because Rhaegar stands the best chance of fulfilling all of the aspects of the prophecy. In that prophecy, Azor Ahai forged 3 swords, quenching one in water, the second in the body of a lion, but both broke. And so he quenched the final sword in the body of his wife, Nisa, creating Lightbringer. Gur uses flowery language and often uses sword as a euphemism for male genitalia. So Azor Ahai had 3 children, or at least 3 champions. There's lots of reason to think Jon is Lightbringer. Chief among them would be the wording of the Night's Watch oath, excuse me, and the fact that he is now a Fire White, which Gur has stated. When I hear this theory, it was taken literally. Rhaegar has 3 children. The trouble with that is the middle one is quenched in the body of a lion, and I'm convinced lion means Lannister. But it's difficult to believe that Rhaegar fathered a child with a Lannister. The leading candidate is Tyrion, who many assume is the child of Aerys and Joanna, but it's hard to replace Aerys with Rhaegar in that theory. Excuse me. When I finally realize it is that details get lost in as stories get older. They get warped to make the story simpler and more compelling. Let's say the real story is that Rhaegar fathers 2 children who were murdered at a very young age and aren't heard from again. Then the 3 champions from his bloodline, Dany, Tyrion, and Jon, go on to fight the others. As time goes on, his first 2 children disappear from the story. As more time goes on, all 3 become his children, and as the story becomes legend, becomes myth. This helps explain why Dany, Tyrion, and Jon share so much in common, including their mothers dying in childbirth. What it also means that the first 2 swords are going to break.
Yeah. Yep. And so that was Sir David the Blacksmith. So awesome. This is a conversation I love to. It comes up all the time. It's good. I think to rehash it out. I think we did get some audio corrected, so I think we're going to try Sam the Hammer again.
Yeah.
And
See so we're gonna,
his thoughts were on this.
So I'm gonna try Sam the Hammer here. Sam, I think you
Hello,
should be.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you now. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And for anybody, sometimes Discord's kind of wonky, so just if we mute you and come back on, and it's all fine. We'll keep coming back to people and make sure everybody gets heard. So.
Yeah, good. I think I sent a raving in about this a few months ago as well, and I can see this one definitely being a possibility.
Yeah,
we were looking. I was looking for someone who would be a Waters or someone like that who could maybe have conceived. I think I just said in the text conversation as well. Rhaegar was 14 when Tyrion was conceived.
Right.
So it's not impossible. I mean, he's got to.
Right. Yeah.
He's got to be pretty confident in himself. But
yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
And I'm big on the idea more so that Jon Snow is Lightbringer rather than Azor Ahai. Along with what that said, the language of the Night's Watch, and he is the sword in the darkness. And so that's where I'm at. I'm a little far more in this idea that Jon is actually Lightbringer rather than Azor Ahai. And Teresa, you and I have been talking about this, and I'm gonna see if I can go back and find one of our texts where I was kind of freaking out about this a while ago. I'm gonna sit back here through some of our text messages. And see
that's
if I can
fine.
Find it.
That's fine because I want to read something just real quick, and I'll get Sam's thoughts here. Because point blank, here's what it boils down to. Okay, in the Clash of Kings, Davos won. Melisandre is talking, and she says, "And that sword shall be Lightbringer, the red sword of heroes, and he who clasp it shall be Azor Ahai, come again, and the darkness shall flee before him." She lifted her voice, so it carried out over the gathered host. Azor Ahai, beloved of R'hllor, the warrior of light, the son of fire, come forth, your sword awaits you. Come forth and take it into your hand. Stannis Baratheon rode forward like a soldier marching into battle. Okay, guys, conversation is over. All right.
Okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. While I am an enormous Stannis fan, there's also a lot of Stannis could still be Azor Ahai, and Lightbringer could still be Jon Snow, because Stannis wants Jon to be kind of his champion, right? Like he kind of wants.
Yeah.
But Lightbringer, as we know, where is it where Sam and Maester Aemon say it is not. That's not that sword, that it's magic. That's he looks at. Yeah. They talk about the difference. They talk about the difference, right, of wildfire composed to say something like dragonfire or something like that.
Yeah, they're talking about the heat of the sword. Yeah, so here my question to Sam is just why not Stannis? You know what I mean? Like, he's our guy, right? I mean, he's got the sword.
Yeah, I sent you a text. I said Nisa dies and Azor Ahai creates Lightbringer. Rhaegar kills Lyanna through childbirth, his third child, his third attempt. Jon Snow, the Night's Watch, where he literally says he is this. Jon Snow is in the Night's Watch, where he literally says he is the sword in the darkness. Jon Snow is Azor Ahai. He is Lightbringer.
Right. Yeah. Yes. That's interesting to think that, that the person is the sword, so kind of cool.
Yeah. And that would open him up to, to being all kinds of different things. So let's grab somebody else here to get their kind of thoughts on it here. Let's try Sir David the Huntsman again here. So Sir David, we're going to try you here again. Sir David the Huntsman, we're going to try you again here. So.
Can you hear us?
Nope. I think he could hear us, but maybe his microphone is having some issues. So
Sir David is off hunting.
He's and that's good. I'm glad people are cheating here. I'm gonna try this Maester Jamie. See if you're ready here. So Maester Jamie.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, we would talk to Jamie.
Oh, maybe not. So all right. We're
back to Lord Hunter.
Yeah, we're.
I'm sure he's got some thoughts on this.
Yeah. So let's go. Yeah, Lord. Yeah, right here. Boom. All right, you're on.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that. I mean, it totally seemed like that could be something that could that Gur would write. That it would, that it wouldn't be like a literal sword. That it's, really Rhaegar himself, and that I could totally see that being a legit path to what's up with that. But definitely the. I also like the theory of the Jon being Lightbringer as far as the wall. Like I think Lord Adam Parker just typed in here. That was cool. I mean, I've gone round and round and round with this, and I can never make up my mind enough to put it on paper and send it as a raven because it changes every time.
Right.
Well,
everything fits. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, here's something fun to do when you guys get more time. When you go to like the World of Ice and Fire wiki, they have the Azor Ahai, theories. They actually got like a whole wiki page dedicated to it, and they've got Stannis listed. They've got Daenerys Targaryen, Jon Snow, Victarion Greyjoy, which I think is kind of crazy, but there's some stuff there.
Oh, Sir Ezra, can I just bring up a point? Where is it that Rhaegar dies?
Well, he doesn't die, right? I mean,
no. But where is it that he dies?
At the Trident, right?
Oh, in a river. So in some water. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I just want to bring that up. Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Too, the other thing is,
he believes that he is Azor Ahai, right? So maybe he, so Lightbringer. Yeah. So.
Well, here's something too. I think the question when you talk about Azor Ahai, you got to talk about the prince that was promised too, because people kind of like
assume look at those as right.
And are they the same thing? Are they not?
The last hero, all that stuff. Yeah, they could be. They could totally be different things. Yeah.
Right. So, because that's a big, because that's what Rhaegar's thing is. He's searching for the prince that was promised, and when Maester Aemon is headed to Old Town, he's reliving the conversations he had with Egg, and he's thinking we thought Rhaegar was, the prince that was promised, and then they thought, well, it's gonna come from Rhaegar's line. But then it came down to they might have misinterpreted prince versus princess,
right.
So
right.
That's a whole nother.
Right. So here, let me just, I don't want to pull this up here. So, all right. So Rhaegar dies, right, in the Trident. After that happens, his son Aegon, who he believed would be, Azor Ahai, right, is murdered under Tywin Lannister's orders, right? So that could be that lion aspect there. And then he kills Lyanna with he kills Lyanna with a through childbirth, and so there's Jon Snow. So that could be those three. He doesn't kill a lion, but a lion kills his son. So I don't know.
I get it.
As we've talked about, sometimes over time, actually in the Fire and Blood chapter we're going to do after we do this. He does kill Lyanna with his sword.
Yes.
And so, but in the Fire and Blood chapter we're gonna do, they talk about that. That's another time where Archmaester Godane, who is writing Fire and Blood, is talking about Septon Barth and some of his writings in the chapter we're talking about this time, how they get construed over time. So, the prophecy of Azor Ahai may not be that he kills a lion with a sword or whatever. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can I real quickly just read a couple more things about this from
go ahead.
Melisandre?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you guys can just weigh in on some of this, but
yeah, I'm gonna try see if we can get Sir David the Huntsman in on this one. So.
Okay, cool. So some of this here, like they start to talk about the horn of Joramun and how it's a horn that supposedly could bring the wall down, and Melisandre starts to look to her flames again to show her Stannis Baratheon, because he is left, and she wants to kind of, show me Azor Ahai again. Surely R'hllor would vouchsafe her a glimpse of what awaited him. Show me Stannis, Lord, she prayed. Show me your king, your instrument. Visions danced before her, gold and scarlet, flickering, forming, and melting and dissolving into one another. Shapes shifted, terrifying and seductive. She saw the eyeless faces again staring out from sockets weeping blood. Then the towers by the sea, crumbling as the dark tide came sweeping over them, rising from the depths. Shadows in the shape of skulls, skulls that turn to mist, bodies locked together in lust, writhing and rolling and clawing through curtains of fire, great winged shadows wheeled against a hard blue sky. And I'm going to highlight this for everybody in the group just so they can kind of see where I'm reading from. I'm going to highlight it in red, the paragraph there. She goes on to say here, skulls, 1,000 skulls, and the bastard boy again, Jon Snow. Whenever she was asked what she saw within her flames, Melisandre would always answer, much and more. But seeing was never as simple as those words suggested. It was an art. And like all arts, it demanded mastery, discipline, study, pain, that too. R'hllor spoke to his chosen ones through the blessed fire in a language of ash and cinder and twisting flame that only a god could truly grasp. Melisandre had practiced her art for years beyond count, and she had paid the price. There was no one, even in her order, who had her skill at seeing the secrets revealed and half concealed within the sacred flames. Now, here we go. Last thing. Yet now she could not even seem to find her king. I pray for a glimpse of Azor Ahai, and R'hllor shows me only snow. And so, she just keeps kind of seeing Jon Snow. So that's another one of those connections back to Jon Snow actually being not only Lightbringer, but Azor Ahai. Right. So every time she looks for Azor Ahai, she sees snow or the bastard boy again. And then, which is why we know later why she calls him up to her chambers and stuff. So there's just so much compelling evidence for various people that you kind of have to have your top candidates and then see what we get in Winds of Winter,
Yeah. And we may not find out in Winds of Winter either. I think I don't know if we're gonna know who Azor Ahai is in Winds of Winter. I mean, we're about to be in season 8 of the show, and we still don't necessarily, it's all the possibilities are showing it's going to be Jon Snow, right? I mean, that's who it's leading to, but it is still entirely possible that it could be Dany. I mean, even in last season is where we have Missandei talking about the differences in language between prince and princess, as late as, last season. So if you consider Winds of Winter and this last season to be, similar, it's still totally possible we won't find out until A Dream for Spring. So we may not know, especially if you consider the way Gur writes and how long it takes. And
and I was gonna say even the ambiguous bit of it, like a hero may rise and win this war, but it may not fulfill every component of the prophecy, and it would be kind of the imperfect way of he warns us about prophecy over and over and over in the text, and so it's like one of those things that can poison us because we start to live by the words of prophets from long ago, and it's like, who fits that? It's just, I don't know. I mean, right now, like Melisandre has raised up Stannis Baratheon, and it's like, well, he could be. She believes she's proclaiming him to be Azor Ahai, and then you've got actually over in near Volantis, they're proclaiming that Daenerys Targaryen, is. Yeah. Azor Ahai come again, so that's starting to happen with the Red Priestesses or Red Priest and Priestesses over there, which is really cool. Mother of Dragons, and so
I mean, she has the 3 dragons, and then in the show, who is it that kills? Here's something interesting. Dany's first dragon is killed by ice, technically. So the idea of it's tempered in water. Yeah. And then what if the second one were, say, killed? I mean, it's to create Lightbringer, it's supposed to stab through a lion's heart. So what if we fight Cersei first, and Cersei has the bolt, right? The scorpion bolt, which we know has been used to kill dragons before, and we saw it where she said it's possible to kill it. So what if it's, say, like Cersei killing one of her other dragons, and then that does leave Drogon as like Lightbringer, which we had kind of discussed before, right? Yeah,
absolutely. Yep, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Let's, if we can, real quick, bring Liam into this.
Yeah. Liam, if you'd like to join, I'm gonna unmute you here if you think you're ready. So I have you unmuted if you're ready here to go and would like to chat. So
can you hear us?
Hello, Magalim here.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Nice, splendid. So So the whole thing with the dragons actually mentioning with Azor Ahai, I know there are all these like possible theories about it. I sent in a Raven at one point, and there's a direct mention in the Azor Ahai story. I remember that when Nissa was killed, she had like the cry of ecstasy and pain that caused a crack in the moon.
Yeah.
And there was the story. Was it Jiki who told?
Yeah, Jiki. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, about the moon being an egg containing all the dragons. There's like a possible link there between Lightbringer and bringing forth dragons, so that's another possible way to look at it. Like there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. I actually have I got it right here, your Raven. So you said an interesting thought occurred to me when listening to your episode on Azor Ahai. Azor Ahai stabbed Nissa in order to create Lightbringer. It was said that her cry of pain and ecstasy caused a crack to form in the moon. This immediately caught my attention as it reminded me of Doria's story on the origins of dragons. In her story, the moon had a twin which hung in the sky, but it cracked open like an egg upon wandering too close to the sun. This ushered the dragons into the world. The similarity between both stories is causing the moon to crack as a great power, one that can defeat the others. That seemed to stand out to you. And I was wondering your thoughts on that. Is there something more to these stories? Yeah, so I think that's pretty, that whole Essos folklore, kind of mixing in with this Azor Ahai prophecy, because, proximity-wise, the Dothraki are closer, they're further east to that, where that prophecy originates from too, So I like that a lot. Actually, any thoughts on just like top contenders, for Azor Ahai in your book? Maybe people who fit the bill.
I'm gonna say I know the like obvious one is probably Jon. He seems to be like the safe pick, but I would also put it more towards Dany, like partly because we've got a big thing, like we've got the endorsement of Maester Aemon, and if there's one thing I've seen of him, you do not discount what he says.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Has some pretty good insight on a lot of things. Although I like the Jaime theory as well. Jaime as Azor Ahai would be interesting.
Yeah. I like Jaime. To me is a great contender. Just because I feel like Jaime is gonna die, and so I feel like him having some sort of tragic death, especially when you look at like the Kingslayer stuff. And so if he were to then kind of save everything, it'd be kind of that and die in the process. It's to look at like kind of a different medium or thing, like it's kind of Professor Snape kind of a thing, right? Where it's you reveal like he's been a jerk the entire time, and then he's actually he's kind of a good guy in the end, and he kind of sacrifices himself and does this stuff, and so you kind of get that redemption. And I feel like that would be a really good arc for Jaime that would be bittersweet, right? Because he's a character that he starts out and he's a total jerk and we hate him, and then we kind of like him, and then he kind of has this tragic death. So I like Jaime. I still like, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, I like the Hound. Just because the idea of like fire, it's just the idea of fire, where he's been petrified of fire his entire life, and so then to have this kind of like to be the champion of fire would make kind of sense to it, like, and it would be like he was actually literally chosen by the fire his entire
kind of ironic
life.
Yeah,
yeah, I think that would be kind of a cool way to do it.
Like you can't properly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like you can't properly understand and use the power of the fire unless you respect it, and he like fears it and respects it like more than a lot of other people would.
Yeah, absolutely. To one of your points here, though, you were talking about Aemon, and how he was suggesting to Sam, that Dany is the prince or princess that was promised, and he actually even talks about Melisandre a little bit and says that I think he says the sword is wrong. She has to know that. Light without heat and empty glamour, the sword is wrong, and the false light can only lead us into deeper darkness. And he's that's the whole point where he's really pushing Sam to like tell the Citadel my thoughts here, and he wants to go join Dany. And I feel like Maester Aemon he's kind of cautious to speak on things like that, and so maybe it's like he's at the end here, and so he's sharing all of his thoughts with Sam and his hopes as well. But like, yeah, when he speaks, you really, really got to listen, because he kind of weighs his words. He's very thoughtful in what he says. So,
yeah,
I really like that. I really like looking at the evolution of his thought, and I love when he brings up too just a connection back to in Night of the Seven Kingdoms. he literally starts speaking to Egg, and the more it's so great, it's like, wow, like they had multiple conversations about this, and they had Summerhall, like what happened at Summerhall, where they're trying to, fulfill some of this prophecy, bring the dragons back. Yeah, so I don't know, that's actually a topic I want to save for another day and talk more about that. But Maester Aemon does not, he doesn't believe it's Stannis. He truly believes it's Dany, and so she's a top contender.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and move on here, Sir Ezra, to our next topic here, which is Davos, Melisandre, and King's Blood. So I'll let you. This one's from Sam the Hammer. So Sam, kind of get ready on this one.
Right. So we'll go to Sam here in just a second. It says, "Good day, sirs. In a storm of swords, Davos attempts to kill Melisandre and is imprisoned. He's gravely unwell after the battle of the Blackwater and thinks he is about to die. Quote here, dimly he remembered gentle hands and a firm voice, and young Maester Pylos, is that how you say it? Looking down on him, he was given hot garlic broth to drink and milk of the poppy to take away his aches and shivers. The poppy made him sleep, and while he slept, they leeched him to drain off the bad blood. So he surmised, by the leech marks on his arm when he awoke. Before very long, the coughing stopped, the blisters vanished, and his broth had chunks of white fish in it and carrots and onions as well. He later thinks that he is being kept alive for some reason, presumably to be burnt as an offering to R'hllor. Melisandre then visits him and mentions that Stannis's light is too faded to risk making more shadow babies, and suggest that Davos could come to her bedchamber instead. Do you believe me? You doubt the truth of R'hllor even now, yet you have served him all the same and will serve him again. So that's a quote from Melisandre talking to Davos. Surely there is enough in this chapter to suggest that Mel is using his blood for something. I'd even go as far to say that it's suggesting that Davos has king's blood, but from my knowledge, this is not an idea that gets revisited later in the book so far, nor have I even read any theories on what Mel has been doing with his blood. Also, doesn't it seem to imply that he recovered remarkably quick for someone who is that close to death? Another question here, and we'll go over all these. We'll come back to him. If Mel is helping to heal Davos, what do you think her reasons are? If she's using his blood for something else, then what? Could Davos have king's blood? Could Ger be paralleling the Aegon-Baratheon relationship here? Or is this one of those threads that he started and forgot about? Wow, or that he forgot about. Sir Matt, I've said that before, that threads, sometimes seem to take off.
Sometimes Ger, may in fact forget things, right? Well, that's what he talks about. We watched that interview where he was talking about the Great Feast, like the beginning, right, where Robert shows up and they're having the feast, and it's where Jon is talking to Benjen. And everyone you see Robb walk down with somebody, you see Sansa, and everybody walks down with somebody, and there's all these theories like, why isn't Bran there? And then Ger was like, oh, well, I guess I forgot about Bran. He's like, I showed all these different characters, or it's possible Jon just wasn't paying attention when Bran walked in. So,
right, yeah. So, do we have Sam there?
Yeah. Let's Sam, we're gonna throw you back on here again. So see if you should be.
Let's get some more thoughts here.
Should be live here if it's good to go. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I think it's the last one, as you say. I think he's written something and sort of forgotten about it. It's I've only just started listening to the books really. I'm up to the fourth one now. And you certainly get a different sense of what's happening from the shows and things you read online.
Right.
That chapter just really stands out. There's a real vibe of something going on. The time seems to pass very strangely from Davos's point of view. He's questioning a lot of things that are like he surmises that they're taking his blood to help heal him. And that suggestion that Mel has invited him to her bedchamber. I don't know why I always seem to pick on the ones that involve sex, but
yeah,
it's just it's a very odd chapter, and it's not something that anyone seems to talk about. And from what I've seen, doesn't get revisited in the books yet.
Yeah, I would say, Sam, I like that you brought this up because I've often wondered, what makes a king? Is it just somebody declaring themselves? Because we have the War of the Five Kings. And it seems to
does Robb Stark declare himself king suddenly have king's blood?
Right.
Does Mance Rayder, they talk about Mance Rayder has king's blood and he's king beyond the wall. Like, so is it Targaryen line, or does Robert, well, she goes after Gendry too. And it could be that maybe there is actually king's blood and that is the Targaryen line, or possibly it's anyone who comes from a line that, like Robb is a Stark. So the Starks were kings at one point. Is that a line in itself, or as Sir Ezra I think was just about to say as I cut him off there, if like does Renly have king's blood because he's Robert's brother who Robert became king, and then or does Renly have king's blood because he declared himself king, right? So like Balon Greyjoy, if he declares himself king of the Islands, does he suddenly have king's blood?
Right. Yeah, so I mean, Sam, I back to your point. Yeah, it's like I don't know that. I think it just is blood magic, right? I mean, it has to be that you can do blood magic. Now, I do believe there is special types of blood, right? So obviously, there's something in Dany's blood and some power that causes her to be flame resistant,
right?
Or heat resistant, whatever you want to call it. And I have to imagine. Even the Starks, right? So they can warg into, into their wolves. You've got skin changers, so there's definitely an element to it. But it's like, I don't know that we haven't seen anything from Davos. I don't know that he has any special abilities other than being a freaking awesome smuggler.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just the reference that she says. She directly. Talks about Stannis is losing his light, or and instantly goes to Davos as an alternative, which just is a bit odd.
Yeah.
Well, why? So that's another point. So Stannis's light is too faded. What does that mean? Does that mean like that? The leeching or the blood that she used from him did that to make the first shadow baby to attack? Renly, I mean, does that take something out of you, or can you only do it a certain amount of times from certain people? I never thought about that until you actually pointed that line out there. I kind of didn't recall that she, doesn't come back to Stannis to do this again, because why not just assassinate more and more people, using your shadow baby?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Really neat. Let's
I want to get Lord Adam Parker in here because he's he had said he had a comment here. So
yeah.
All right, Lord Adam Parker, you are on. So
hi everybody. I had a comment about Melisandre and the leeching of Gendry, and I think in the books it was Eric Storm, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Okay. In the show it's Gendry. Yeah.
Yep. So. Based on her admission in To Answer the Dragon, she admits that a lot of her magic isn't that powerful, so much as it's souped up with smoke and mirrors, along with her inability to have effect on outcomes, such as the Battle of the Blackwater.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she was supposed to win that battle and did not. It really didn't work. And I get the impression that Melisandre saw the Three Kings' deaths in the fire because what we understand is that she's a more powerful interpreter of the flames. And so she saw the Three Kings' deaths in the fire and then used the leeches to create a fancy parlor trick that made it seem like her magic killed them. She knew they were going to die anyway and decided to do the leeches, throw the three leeches in the flame because it didn't win Stannis the throne, right?
Yeah.
If her magic was powerful, he would have been on the throne. Why just kill everybody if that doesn't make any sense at all? So if Melisandre really wanted to win Stannis the throne that he wanted, the three names that she would have chosen would have been Joffrey, Tommen, and Myrcella. Then the throne would automatically go to Stannis by rights. So we already know that Melisandre has no qualms in killing children, and perhaps Stannis doesn't have any issue with it either. But based on his willingness to also sacrifice Gendry or Eric Storm, might be a Baratheon thing there. Looking at Robert's relief of the deaths of the Targaryen heirs. But it says that Melisandre didn't actually have the power to kill others by sacrificing his king's blood, or else she would have chosen a more strategic choice. Or she would have sent more leeches to the fire, only 3 leeches, or maybe she would have done it more often. You can certainly be leeched more than once ever. They used to do it all the time until you get, George Washington levels.
Right. Yeah.
He got leeched a little too much, but that was common practice. You can leech somebody. It's like you can donate blood every 52 days. It is like you can afford to be leeched more than once. So if that is her strategy, she would just do this all day, every day. That's her play. So I think it's just a smoke and mirrors, her leeching people, King's blood. I think it's just her front. She saw these people were going to die anyway, and she's like, hey, believe in me. I'm important here. She's just playing the Game of Thrones on her terms. So that's my whole thought. Anyway,
I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Let me pull somebody else. I want to pull somebody else up here. If somebody else is ready to go, just kind of type in here in the thing. But yeah, Sir Ezra, I mean, the whole leeches thing, is something that, like, it said we see it and then we don't kind of see it again with this King's blood. But I think, she wants to do it with Mance Rayder, right? Like she wants,
sure.
Or no, the baby, right? That John's like, we need to get this baby out of here, right?
Well, I think Lord Adam Parker is right though, because like here's the thing. I don't know that she. So her reputation precedes her, and so she's known for leeching and using King's blood and doing blood sacrifices, So everybody's kind of edgy. I feel like, so John maybe jumps the gun and says Maester Aemon, and Mance Rayder's baby, they're out of here because of the King's blood scenario. So, because I think she does mention that they have King's blood or something, or maybe it was just, I don't know, maybe that just came to his mind. I can't really remember, but I think it's sort of like a reason as to why, it kind of builds her up. Like, I can do all these different things when really she's just a good interpreter of the flames, saw things that might happen, and then creates a narrative where it makes it look like she influenced, she was the influencer. She's the reason why they died. When in fact they may have just been dying and R'hllor gave her that vision. Yeah. So I think that's actually a really, really cool way to kind of look at that. And before you bring somebody else in here real quick, I think I'm going to bring in Liam, because he's made a really good point here, and I want to bring him in here. So yeah, okay.
Go. I'm going to go ahead, Sir Ezra, with your point. Then I'll bring him in.
Yeah. So I'll read this, and Liam, you can kind of see what you think. In A Clash of Kings, Dany 3, just talking about like dragon power, because I was talking about the blood of the dragon a little bit, and how, like, I'm sure that some blood has some power. This is when one of our favorite characters, right, Quaithe, shows up,
right,
and she says, we get this description here. The mage was gesturing, urging the flames higher and higher with broad sweeps of his arms. As the watchers craned their necks upward, the cut purses squirmed through the press, small blades hidden in their palms. They relieved the crowd of their coin with one hand while pointing upward with the other. When the fiery ladder stood 40 feet high, the mage leapt forward and began to climb, scrambling up hand over hand as quickly as a monkey. Each rung he touched dissolved behind him, leaving no more than a wisp of silvery smoke. When he reached the top, the ladder was gone, and so was he. I think it's Joquo, I can't pronounce the names right, says a fine trick, and then someone behind her says, no trick, a woman said in the common tongue. Dany had not noticed Quaithe in the crowd, yet she stood there, eyes wet and shiny behind the implacable red lacquered mask. What do you mean, my lady? And this is what Quaithe says to her. Half a year gone, so half a year ago, that man could scarcely wake fire from dragonglass. He had some small skill with powders and wildfire, sufficient to entrance a crowd while his cut purses did their work. He could walk across hot coals and make burning roses bloom in the air, but he could no more aspire to climb that fiery ladder than become a common fisherman. Or I'm sorry, then a common fisherman could hope to catch a kraken in his nets. So she's kind of like alluding to, and she goes on actually to say that it's because of Dany. It's because of Dany's these presence that the dragon has awoke. Dragons are waking. She's the mother dragon. Has that power in her blood. So I thought that was kind of cool because, and then again, that's Quaithe. So who the heck knows, whether we can trust her for anything.
All right, I'm gonna bring Liam in here. So Liam, you had a really good point here, and you're live now, so you can chime in on this if you're ready to go.
Hello.
Hey.
Just the one about the Blackwater, or
yeah, or whatever, or respond to whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so like during the whole thing as well, like just talking about Melisandre manipulating events, like, or at least how people think she manipulates them. I remember when she like comments on the whole thing with Blackwater saying, "I could have stopped this." I'm just like, no, you couldn't. Your magic's not that strong. It's not. But she claims she could have. And as far as people know, they've seen her do all these amazing things. They don't know she couldn't have. Like, maybe she could have, like, if she'd given a correct warning at some point. But even then, she might have missed it because interpreting things in the fire is hard. So, again, it's just her making it seem like she can do more than she can by making these claims, which you can't disprove. You can't disprove that she could have done that. And she claims she could have. And in regards to the whole thing as well with Davos, like her suggesting taking Davos to bed, I think it could just be her messing with him because Melisandre does do that at times. I think she likes to get a bit of a reaction out of people at times like that. She especially I think Davos. I think she actually quite enjoys Davos's company as much as she disagrees with him. I think she does actually like having someone who isn't terrified of her or just always bowing to her whims. I think she likes having someone to actually have a bit back and forth with at times. So that could be her attempt at that.
Yeah, I could see that. That's hilarious, actually, because he's such a big critic, and then she's telling him, "Well, you've already served R'hllor," and also, really good point. Yeah, if she's not there, I mean, she's just saying, "Well, if you would have brought me with you, this wouldn't have happened, but you kept me behind," and so, therefore, it makes her seem like she can do more than really, she can. So,
and remember, she, we haven't really gotten to where in the show. Remember, she fails, right? Like she kills Shireen and she, it doesn't really work. I mean, they have to, then Stannis kind of dies and she gets all depressed and then, then she tries to resurrect Jon and it doesn't exactly work the way she thinks. She thought she's lost her power and then she does end up doing it, but she's kind of distraught there at first. So, maybe it's going to go similar in the books where she has a failure or two and she realizes, wow, maybe I was wrong. And then she's kind of, realizes, okay, nope, the Lord of Light has still got my back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good point. I wanted to get Lord Jason in here if he's ready, if that's possible.
Lord Jason, you're live here. So.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Uh-oh.
Looks like we're having a little bit of a connection issue here with Lord Jason. So sometimes you just got to give it a second in Discord. We'll connect. So let's go ahead. Lord Jason, you're on.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
We can hear you, but it's just breaking up a little bit. That's okay.
That's okay. We'll come back. Don't worry. We'll come back. So
All
right. Well, let's go ahead. Sorry, I think it's even that's fine. That's a good place to move on from this one. And do you want to go to the next one? Because I want to get to some. We have a bunch, and we can kind of lightning round them, I think.
Okay. All right.
So we have our last kind of big one here, which is. A fire and blood theory, Princess Arya Targaryen.
Yeah. Do you want me to read this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Princess Arya Targaryen. This is a fire and blood theory since this came out. And who sent this? Let's see. Shannon, actually. And actually, Shannon has sent us a couple things. Shannon from Canada. Let's see here. Brace yourselves. This is going to be a long one. I discovered your podcast at the end of September and was instantly hooked. Been listening since then, and I'm nearly caught up, enjoying every single episode. That's great. Thank you. While I've been in love with Game of Thrones for several years now, I've never particularly been critical about the series and didn't know much about any of the theories. Your podcast has changed that, and definitely there now. And this theory pertains to Fire and Blood. In Chapter 10, Jaehaerys and Alysanne, their triumphants and tragedies, we learn of the tragic fate of Princess Arya. Is it Arya?
Either way is fine, yeah.
Arya. Niece of the king and queen. She runs away from her mother on Dragonstone, flying on the back of Balerion, and isn't seen again for more than a year. There's no visible account of the girl or the dragon being spotted anywhere in Westeros or Essos. When she finally returns to King's Landing on the back of Balerion, she is very ill and dies shortly after. The only account of her death comes from Septon Barth, who believes that Arya was carried by Balerion to the ruins of Valyria. Let's assume that belief is correct, that Barth is correct, based on the creatures living inside of based on the creatures living inside of the princess and the wounds that Balerion sustained. There are things about their voyage that can't really be explained at this time. However, I have a theory about Arya's other ailments. As far as we know, the most logical place for the Horn Dragonbinder to be at this point is in Valyria. In A Feast of Crows, Chapter 19, Euron Greyjoy claims that he sailed the Smoking Sea to retrieve the horn from the ruins of the once great city. That particular fact is up for debate, but it's still safe to assume that the horn resided on Valyria for quite some time after the Doom, before anyone was brave enough to go looking for it. At the King's Moot, Euron's man Cragorn blows the horn, collapses, then dies not long after. Arya may have heard about the horn in her learnings about the history of Valyria, and since she would have been fluent in Valyrian, would have been able to recognize the horn from the glyphs we know are etched into it. I believe that little Princess Arya, desperate and afraid, lost in a foreign wasteland, comes across Dragonbinder and blows it in an attempt to gain control of Balerion. Here's why. When Craigon first collapses after blowing the horn, he has blisters on his lips. After he dies, he is cut open by a maester, and it's discovered that his lungs are charred black. He was burned from the inside. Princess Arya is described by Septon Barth as having cracked and bleeding lips, and her flesh grew darker and darker and then began to crack. Barth explains that her skin was flushed and red, and when I laid my hand upon her brow to learn how hot she was, it was as if I had thrust it into a pot of boiling water. The Septon also states that thin tendrils of smoke issued from her mouth, her nose, even from her lips. Simply put, the poor child was cooking from within. Obviously, it had been possible for the horn to be blown by someone without causing death. It's likely that the dragon lords of Valyria were able to safely use it because of their connection to dragons. They are the blood of the dragon, after all, and the glyphs on the horn mention blood for fire, fire for blood. As a mortal man with no ties to the blood of old Valyria, Cragorn died quickly. Since Arya was only a child and no true dragon rider, the horn still took its toll on her. However, because she is the blood of the dragon, we know that Targaryens can be fireproof, or at least fire resistant to a certain degree. It took much longer for the burning to finally kill her. In fact, from Septon Barth's accounts, it may have been that she was submerged in a tub of ice that actually killed her. The shock of it stopped her heart. Who knows how much longer she would have lived without interference. So, Shannon kind of goes on to say here, is it possible that we'll see Daenerys use that horn to control Viserion as a white, if that happens in the books, or even an actual ice dragon? Balerion did end up bringing Arya back to King's Landing, so even though the horn harmed her, it may still be working to gain control over some of the dragons. Even if Daenerys is similarly affected, she would still be able to control the dragon, maybe even long enough to help win the battle against the Night King's army by turning his greatest weapon against him. So there we go. Thoughts on that, Sir Matt?
Yeah. So I mean, here. So none of this is going to happen in the show because the horn has never really been anything in the show. But the horn, we know, is going to be a big part of Winds of Winter because it's the cover, right? It's the cover, just as the dagger is the cover of a Game of Thrones. It's it's like the kind of driving force. Yeah, Liam just said there and commented Jorah. Yeah, because we know Jorah has grayscale, and somebody had actually sent us a raven about that, about could somebody with grayscale possibly blow the horn because it wouldn't hurt them. This being Dragonbinder, right? And not maybe the Horn of Winter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's definitely going to be a player. I don't know if Dany is going to use it, and I know the idea Dany is fireproof, and she could possibly use it. Or I don't know. Actually, I think Euron or Victorian's going to blow it first. I think they're going to run into Daenerys and blow it first, and maybe it will gain control of them. And then if that happens, then maybe Dany does blow it. It doesn't hurt her. And then I don't know how she would use that as a tool later. But I think there's a possibility that the horn is going to be used. What I think would be the most interesting is if young Griff gets a hold of it, blows it, and then he gets control of one of the dragons. And let's say if he is a true Targaryen or even a Blackfire, you could still have that dragon riding ability and still be immune to fire, because you have the Targaryen line, and you just have how we see some of the what is it? Who is it during the Dance of Dragons that gets to control some of the dragons? They just go find some bastards and stuff like that, right? So it's totally possible that
Nettles, thank you.
Yeah, Nettles, thank you. Yeah, could have that ability. So I think to me the biggest candidate is young Griff. I don't know how he gets it. I like what Lord Adam Parker said here. Or Dany blows the horn and makes Jon Azor Ahai, because that's killing his love for the third sacrifice, and Jon is Dany's sacrifice for her house of the undying prophecy. So there's that as well. So.
Yeah, I think you were right about. I mean, so Victarion has the horn. Right. Remember, he's trying to get a couple guys, like you'll do great honor to your house by blowing it. So one of those guys is going to die, and they're going to blow the horn, and they're going to die, and they need to blow it when they're within the hearing of, or the proximity to the dragons. So maybe he, like you said, maybe he does actually gain control over one, or I mean, I don't know though. I mean, the horn blower dies. It's like, what the heck happens then? So, and I also believe, back to this area Targaryen, I mean, there are varying levels of dragon riders. I mean, it'd be like if Viserys would have blown the horn. He's not a dragon rider. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, I think if you have to be kind of a dragon rider to use it properly, and she's a little girl, not necessarily, kind of inadvertently gets taken away and lost, and it's kind of a sad story, and then she comes back and she did everything she could to kind of survive until, she gets back home. But yeah, she is burning from the inside out, and she just lasts longer because of her Targaryen blood. I think if you're a true dragon rider, you probably could blow that horn.
Right.
And so Aegon Targaryen, young Griff, blowing that would be really, cool to see, I think.
Yeah.
Himself a dragon.
I agree. I want to bring somebody in here. I'm going to see if I'm going to try Sir David the Huntsman here again. I know he's listening, and I know we were having some audio issues, so I'm going to try Sir David the Huntsman again. I've unmuted you here. Oh, I mean, he might have his mic turned off.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, Sir David the Huntsman back on. So yeah, your thoughts.
To be honest, I've been trying to toy around with getting on.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Discord sometimes it can be a little finicky. So,
the unfortunate thing is I kind of missed a little bit of that. So,
that's fine.
Well, how about any of your thoughts though on like some of the previous stuff? I mean, because whether it's Azor Ahai or
whatever,
any.
But
like,
but right now we've been talking about the Dragonbinder horn and it being blown, and who might blow that.
Yeah, who could be a dragon rider? Like, do you think like maybe young Griff or Dany are going to end up with horn? I feel like it has to get back into the Targaryen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think from a book standpoint, young Griff makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
To me personally.
Right.
It's just kind of one of those problems where, I don't think we're ever going to have any of that in the show, as with what happens with adaptations.
Right.
But from a book standpoint, I feel that probably makes the most sense. But there again, to Danny, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see an actual Targaryen blow it and see what happens, and I feel like we're going to see a couple people blow it and it's going to char them from the inside out. So, it'd be kind of cool. Oh, look, it works for this person. So, it must be something special about that person. So, yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, here's the other person who's in close proximity. If you ever wanted to, and this, I'm kind of joking here, but, Tyrion Lannister, right, has showed up over there, in Marine with Danny, and so let's say the horn gets to him and he blows that bad boy, well then he's confirmed as somewhat Targaryen-ish. So I'm totally kidding, guys, by the way. That's probably not going to happen, but I don't know, just be interesting, I think.
Okay. All right. Let's do some people are saying no, don't really have a lot of thoughts on this, so we're gonna kind of do some. I think that's our last one in the doc, isn't it, Sir Ezra?
Yep, that's the last one in the doc there. Yeah. So, you got some rapid fire. Ravens.
Yeah. I'm pulling them up here in the group. I thought I just had one on Instagram, but people sometimes send me stuff on Instagram on my own personal thing, or they send it to me via the Bend the Knee. So let me pull one up here. If you have one in the group or something, while I'm grabbing one here.
Yeah, I'll pull one up too. I mean, I saw today too that there was just like this flurry of, Ravens coming in like last
here's one. Lady Sydney had sent me something here. The idea that Syrio Farrell and Jack and Gahar. She sent me one jokingly that said, plot twist, they're the same character. So that's one. If somebody in the Discord would like to comment on that, just kind of bigger general theories. I know Sir Ezra and I are both huge believers in the idea of that Syrio is also Jaqen H'ghar.
Yeah, anyone want to take that up? Some thoughts on him.
I'm gonna grab Lord Adam Parker and throw him in here.
Okay.
Sure, he's all right.
He's here for Syrio.
Yeah, Lord Adam Parker. Yeah, you are on. So yeah, are you a member of that group, that belief as well, that Syrio and Jaqen are the same character?
I actually do not.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that Syrio Farrell is Ned Stark. So.
Oh, that's right. Didn't you? I think you sent us one about that.
Yeah. No. So Ned, when they got his bones, they were actually a lot smaller than, he's a very big man. And so that I think that Syrio Farrell sacrificed himself on orders of Jaqen H'ghar. They're obviously super friends. And sacrificed himself and pretended to be Ned getting executed. So Ned is hiding away with Howland Reed, which that's why we haven't seen them both, and they're gonna return at the very last second. So that's
wow.
Yep. No, that's my thought there.
Oh man, that's
cool.
That's wild, man. Dude, Sir Matt, could you imagine? You know what I'm saying? Like Eddard Stark just rolls back onto the screen. And he's just, or even in the books, he's just there. It's just, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
All right, let's get, I want to try and get Lord Jason, the Highlander, back in here. So I'm going to unmute Jason. I think, cool. I think we can hear you now.
I'm here.
Cool.
Perfect.
All right. So here's one from Joe Reed, who is just is a new patron here. He said, so I was listening to the episode on Tyrion and was thinking about what Tyrion thoughts that Jon's mother seemed to not have left any trace in his looks, and how this could be taken as Lyanna being his mother, since it's often remarked that Jon looks like a Stark. But it is a possible mark in the favor of N plus A, which would be Ned plus Ashara equals Jon. Is that Ashara also has black hair, which means he does technically have a feature of his mother. And most wouldn't notice, since the Starks are known to have black hair as well. So what he's saying is, is it possible that Ned and Ashara equal Jon, because because Ashara also has black hair, so maybe he's actually getting that trait from her rather than Lyanna.
That would be, I don't know. Thoughts, Jason?
I am still firmly in the R plus L equals J camp.
Yeah.
And even our discussion earlier about the thoughts of Ned, and that just, to me, not that it confirms it, but it just leads more credence to go that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, because that's what it comes down to, right? You have to, I mean, there's a lot of like, is it Ashara? Is it Lyanna? I mean, is it Lyanna and Rhaegar? You know, who are his parents? I got a question for you though on that. So, who then do you believe young Griff or like Aegon, who we believe he's dead, right? He's bashed in Tywin Lannister wraps the babies up in those crimson cloaks. And all of a sudden, we have young Griff sailing over with the Golden Company, doing his thing. Who do you think he really is? Is he really who he says he is? I hate to shift away from the whole Lyanna thing.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
Just kind of wondered.
No, I think he is part of the Blackfires.
Part of the Blackfires? Okay. Yeah, okay. And do you think, okay, well, then another question. What about, is that because Varys is a part of that Blackfire connection, or?
I'm still on the fence about Varys. I don't know enough.
Right. That's that's all of us on that. Yeah. I just kind of wonder because, like, once you start putting, you say, R plus L equals J, then you got to start looking at the other, babies that were born at that time and start to figure out, who do they truly belong to. I actually also wouldn't be surprised if he was a Targaryen and actually was a baby that they did, smuggle out. So either Blackfire or Targaryen. I'm kind of thinking more that he, actually may be who he says he is, which is going to cause a little bit of a issue for Dany, as he's trying to pave the way for her, but at the same time he has no dragons, so he's trying to set up shop there at Griffin's Roost and do what he can. He's trying to, isn't he trying to win? Oh gosh, isn't he going to Storm's End?
He's going to Storm's End. Yeah, he's going to Storm's End.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's trying to do what he can there. But so you're a big believer in the R plus L equals J, huh?
Yeah, I keep trying. Your guys, N plus A. It was compelling, but I just couldn't get on board.
Yeah.
The R plus L.
R plus L. Well, and so originally, Sir Matt and I kind of like, that's the joke between us, is that we hadn't done any research back in the day. We were reading the books, watching the show, and we're like, dude, we figured this out, man. Like, holy cow. So we thought that as well. And we entertain every theory that kind of comes in. And I was compelled by the Ashara Dane connection. Because there's even, there's talk that she could have been with Howland Reed at Ard Stark. And so that there could be another child out there, Mira Reed, lots of different things where you could include Ashara as someone who's still alive. I kind of think Ashara is still alive. I just don't know exactly what role she played or whether she had a child around that time, so but I definitely, it's just too mysterious, her death, and it's brought up too many times for me to think that she's, not still alive or maybe on with young Griff, as his Septon. Is that Septon Lamore? Is that her name?
Yes. Yeah.
So
who Tyrion keeps wanting to, hook up with.
Well, that's another indicator, right? She's gorgeous, and so she was, stealing the show at Harrenhal, so it does kind of fit. I don't know. So cool. I that's one, like the R plus L equals J. Like, I feel like next Raven's Nest, we're gonna have to make that one of the big centerpiece topics and get people's thoughts. And I'll create another doc and really throw a bunch of quotes in there so we can talk about that, because that is one I was worried we were gonna have a Raven about that for the first Raven's Nest, and I was like, man, we gotta hold that off for the second. There's just so much to talk about there.
Yeah, I've got some other ones, but they are like super long, so I don't really want to.
Are they?
I don't really want to jump into those. Save those maybe for next Raven's Nest or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah. So cool. Well, Sir Ezra, as we approach, I think, what are we at? Just about 2 hours here. I think that this is probably a pretty decent place to call it out. Lord Adam Parker says anything about Lady Stoneheart. No, we don't.
So
but thank you for bringing her back. So yeah. Well,
that'll
you know
have
what?
to be-
Jamie, Maester Jamie didn't speak at all. So I want to. Let's
Yeah,
bring.
see if you can get-
Yeah, Maester Jamie, I'm going to put you on here because we didn't hear from you at all today, and so just real quick, your thoughts on R plus L equals J or N plus A equals J
or Lady Stoneheart
or
If you
Lady
have any thoughts
Stoneheart,
on
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. I have to say that I'm pretty hard set on R plus L equals J.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I keep toying with those other theories, but when I reread the books, like the evidence seems to still be pointing towards that. But again, sometimes some of those clues seem a little obvious, so maybe who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely a true believer in that, I think.
Gotcha.
Although it could be, totally different in the books too. I mean, John could still be dead. So
Exactly. Yeah, he could be. He could totally be dead. People are just making a lot of jokes and the thing. R plus L equals Lady Stoneheart. Renly plus Lady Stoneheart equals. Yeah, but I think I agree with you. I think the evidence is just it at this point it's going to be hard almost to disprove it. With the amount of evidence that we have, because the idea of it being possibly Ashara Dane, how are you going to weave that in the next 2 books?
Right.
I'm sure we're going to get some more on Ashara Dane, but it's just going to be hard. It's like where I'm kind of nervous in the show is that, you got to give us is there going to be any backstory on the Night King?
Right.
We haven't gotten that even stuff about Azor Ahai and
I was just
and
gonna say
Lightbringer and
that.
stuff. There hasn't really been a lot of that in the show. So we hear about the prince who was promised and stuff, but it's going to be kind of hard to weave even that in the next 6 episodes. So
I agree. I was thinking about that the other day. I got a couple people new into Game of Thrones, and I'm thinking about the Azor Ahai thing, and I'm like, I don't think they've set a good enough foundation if they plan to do a big reveal in the season.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I have a question for you, Jamie. Do you think so? Gur's talked about the idea that, and the HBO producers, writers have talked about it, the show and book being very different. On the R plus L equals J, do you think they would do something like that? Gur could do something that different. You know what I mean? Because that's a big thing that they did. That reveal is kind of, huge. Could Gur go would he go the opposite direction? I mean, can you have a TV series and then a book series be that different?
Oh man. As a writer's standpoint, that sounds like a lot of fun just to screw with people. I wouldn't put it out of the possibilities of opportunity there, but I think it depends on what Gur's end game is truly about. If it's that important to have Jon be the child of Rhaegar and Lyanna in the end, then I don't think he would change it. But if it's something that he can interchange and kind of mess with it a little bit and it wouldn't change the ending that much, maybe.
Gotcha. Yeah. It kind of boggles me, right, that they're talking about how different they're going to be. And it could come down to, as you were talking about, Azor Ahai not being a big focus in the show. Well, I mean, some big reveal happening in this season about Azor Ahai. Maybe we get more of that in the book, and so that's how they're different. But I don't know. I'm just looking for ways in which they can be really different and still be shocked as a reader after we've seen the show, the finale. So
that is really true.
Yeah.
That they've said that it's going to be really different. It's hard to think about.
Because I can only think of a couple of things, Azor Ahai promised R plus L equals J. I'm thinking of things that are pretty major that would be different. Maybe it's characters who died, or because they've also taken a lot of minor characters and merged them into some of your major actors in the series. So it could be something like that as well.
I mean, there's a lot maybe we don't get any Howland Reed in the series. I mean, in the TV show, and that's where it's going to be really different. That we learn more about the Children of the Forest and the Night King than that in the series. But
sure,
yeah, that'd be kind of crazy.
Right. Oh, all right.
Okay.
Well, any other? I think we're good there, right? So Matt, we're gonna kind of wrap up.
So so hey guys, thank you guys so much for those of you who have joined us here on Raven's Nest. This was a lot of fun. We've been wanting to do this for quite some time and get everybody in here and get it going. I think it was super cool.
Oh man, it was awesome. It was really cool to hear.
Oh man, Sir Ezra
and everything. What's up? Yeah,
God, I forgot to hit the record button.
Shut your mouth.
I just messing.
I tell you right now. I would reach through this microphone. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Man, but no, absolutely. So yeah, this has been a ton of fun, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Those of you guys who could make it. Oh, Sam the Hammer says it's 1 a.m. over here. FYI, so earlier next time, please. Yeah, I'm sure we could do that. We got a lot of time zones to kind of deal with.
Here, we'll move it around.
Yeah, we'll move it around.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good idea, because there are probably some people who could have been in.
Yeah, because I think we have some people from Australia, so
right.
Yeah. So because Liam says, well, it's lunchtime here for me, so yeah, so
right.
Yeah, we'll try and find something that's a little more that works for people. I know Sir Ezra's on East Coast time, I'm on West Coast time, so a lot of times here. So anyway,
Sir Matt, I want to mention real quick too, just those Ravens, you can send those to btkcast@gmail.com. We really do have a lot of good content coming up. I know Sir Matt just took a look at my Green Dreams document. He's got one that he's working on, and I'm going to push for more of those to be released on Patreon. But I have so many that I do want to release a couple more on the main feed, and especially as we get closer to the show, it's sort of like, so you're going to be seeing a lot more content pushed out in these next 4 months just to prep for the show.
Absolutely.
So please be ready for that. But can't thank you guys enough. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was super awesome. Way less technical difficulties than I actually thought we were going to have. I thought we were going to have a way more. So I'm actually super pleased with the way this turned out. So
me too.
All right, guys. Well, in the house words of somebody, in the house words of George R.R. Martin, I'll finish it next year.
He's listening. George is listening, and he's gonna be ticked now. Gosh dang it! I'm not gonna get my book signed.
Yeah.
Jeez.